Kush Orange Juice released in April 2010. At the time it released, it was one of the most anticipated mixtapes ever. Wiz Khalifa had built massive hype and anticipation for the mixtape with his day-to-day YouTube series and collaborations with Curren$y, who was on a legendary run in his own right, still hot from the year 2008, where he released one new mixtape every month. Today, it's difficult to explain how popular and inseparable Curren$y and Wiz were back in 2010. Think Ghostface and Raekwon during the Cuban Links era. It was difficult to think of one without the other. Wiz and Curren$y had already collaborated on the classic How Fly mixtape in 2009, and Wiz Khalifa appears twice on Curren$y's 2010 mixtape Smokey Robinson on the songs Mazel Tov and I Don't Fucks With Him featuring Nipsey Hussle. Curren$y appears once on Wiz's 2010 mixtape Kush Orange Juice on the song Glass House featuring Big Crit. But is there more than meets the eye? Did Curren$y play a bigger role in Kush Orange Juice than what we currently know? In my opinion, there are at least 4 songs on Kush Orange Juice where I believe Curren$y wrote some or all of the verses for Wiz Khalifa. Personally, I believe that Kush Orange Juice does not exist without Curren$y. Before we begin, there are a few commonalities in all of Curren$y songs that we should take note of. Car and engine talk. Curren$y always talks about cars, engines, the aesthetics of the car. It's always something about the car. Smoking and chilling with women. References to movies. Interpolating old rap lyrics. Curren$y loves interpolating and flipping old rap lyrics. He loves mentioning clothes, i.e. Levi 501s, Jordans, streetwear like Diamond Supply, and Curren$y always mentions the jets. There's always some mention of the jets and or the planes as a metaphor to being high. We should also understand how big of an influence Curren$y was on Wiz during that 2010 era. Wiz talks about how Curren$y was one of the only rappers to link with him following his split with Warner.
I hit up Big Sean and he didn't hit me back, and I hit up Spitta and I was like, bro, because it was when I left Warner.
Yeah, he remembered that shit.
Yeah, because I was down bad. I was like, so I hit up Spitta and I was like, bro, I feel like we're really similar. Let's see what we could do. And he hit me back. He was like, boy, I just did a freestyle over your shit. And I'm like, I'm gonna fly to New Orleans. Let's fuck with it.
Curren$y flew Wiz out to New Orleans and they began making music together in what became the How Fly mixtape. Wiz also confirms that Curren$y got him into wearing Jordans.
All right, look, is it true before we go into that, Curren$y put you on the rocking Jordans?
Yeah, I had never even owned a pair of Jordans before I met Curren$y. I never had one pair of J's before. I wanted some, but I just never had
What were you wearing
them.
before?
Chucks.
I was gonna say Converse.
Yeah. I mean, in Pittsburgh, like, it's Air Forces, Timbs. Niggas wore J's, but like...
And when you first started hanging out with Wiz Khalifa, his feet weren't right.
Yeah,
His feet weren't right.
What does that mean?
That's
what
my
does that
brother,
mean?
and he'll say it.
Because Charlie Skin is probably one of those
He
guys.
flew to
right
New
here.
Orleans. When he
Right.
came to kicking, I was like, yo,
Right.
we gotta go and let's
you
go
some
get some
J's.
shoes. Let's go get some shit.
Oh,
we went and
shoe
got some
game.
like Pippins and shit like that. Then
Right.
when we went to New York, we brought him to Flight Club. And I was like, this is where all the old Jordans
Wow,
are.
because
Like,
what
this
was he
dude-
wearing before that?
He was like totally Taylor gang, and that's cool to wear Chucks.
Right,
That's
but what
cool.
does that
but I
mean?
was
That
like-
was Converse.
He was wearing Converse, and that's
Right.
fine. But I was like, just add this.
As we know, Jordans, cargos, Chuck Taylor, this is a look that helped define Wiz's Taylor Gang style during the early 2010s. Obviously, Taylor Gang, Chuck Taylor's Taylor Gang. Wiz was doing that before Curren$y. But the cargos and the streetwear and the different type of snapbacks, these are additions to that Taylor Gang style that came in after the influence of Curren$y. Now, I'm speculating here, but there's at least 4 records on Kush Orange Juice, in my opinion, where Curren$y writes at least one of Wiz Khalifa's verses. And I don't see people talk about this often, but the flow and jargon is unmistakably Curren$y. Now, Curren$y has probably well over 100 mixtapes and albums. Out of those 100, I would say I've listened to at least 80 of them. So I'm pretty well versed on Curren$y style, so I know it when I hear it. And on most of these records that I'm about to name, Wiz Khalifa actually shouts out Curren$y. So these are records that I think Currency wrote the verses. I think Wiz pretty much does his own hooks, but I think Currency wrote these verses, and on at least 2 of these songs, Wiz Khalifa actually shouts out Currency. Song number 1, Mezmorized. Now, no Currency fan is going to deny that Mezmorized by Wiz is prototypical Currency lyrics. I mean, it's all here. The car and engine talk, the foot fetish type deal raps that Currency does.
I like chicks who don't have their toes out. I don't like to see feet, you know what I'm saying?
Rapping about chilling and smoking with women. This entire song is all Currency's back, and I would even wager that Currency wrote the hook too. Ain't shit changed but the amount of horses in my motor when I switch lanes. Horses in my motor. Again, this is that car and engine talk. Heavy in the game, little homie, I'm doing big things. I keep it so G. Again, that's another style, signature style of Currency. Keep it so G. Keep it G. Currency says this all the time in his lyrics. So I would wager that this entire song is written by Currency. And of course, Wiz shouts out Currency before the song even starts. He says, shout out to my brother Spitta, man. Spitta is Currency. Spitta equals Currency. Currency, the hot Spitta. Mezmorized is my favorite Wiz Khalifa song, period. Number 2, Good Dank, verse 1. Now, this is the one song that I'm going to mention that is there's no arguing this, in my opinion. Verse 1 of Good Dank is very obviously Currency. I mean, stop the video and go listen to that verse 1. It's only about 30 or 40 seconds. Number 1, Wiz does not flow like this. This is a stereotypical Currency flow. If you really want to understand how Wiz Khalifa actually flows, go listen to his Prince of the City and Grow Season mixtapes, Burn After Rolling that he made prior to meeting Currency. Go listen to On My Level featuring Too Short. Those songs and mixtapes are more akin to Wiz Khalifa's natural flow. Verse 1 of Good Dank, the entire rhyme scheme is all Currency. The lingo is all Currency. Currency's lingo is scattered all throughout verse 1. Full bomb raps. I mean, come on. This is Currency's pen. I'll say though, the hook and verse 2 are all Wiz Khalifa. I don't think the hook and verse 2 are written by Currency, but that verse 1 is very obviously Currency. And by the way, shout out to Wiz Khalifa for this hook on Good Dank. Magnificent hook. One of my favorite hooks ever. And of course, like on Mezmorized, Wiz Khalifa shouts out Currency here. In that last verse, he says, I got that there from my nigga out New Orleans. Nigga out New Orleans is Currency. Currency is from New Orleans, right? And lastly, number 3 and number 4, Never Been and This Statement. Now, for some people, this is going to sting because Never Been is one of their favorite Wiz songs. Back when Kush and Orange Juice initially came out, Never Been was the most talked about song on that mixtape that I remember. Now, on both of these songs, Wiz Khalifa does Currency's pre-song mumble. So that's where Currency mumbles a few bars or rhythm before verse 1 starts. So he'll usually go something like, "Oh, rule number 1, talk about when your nigga. That shit there, have him suspicious." Like he does this. You listen to Currency songs, he'll mumble like a few words or rhythms. He does this pretty much throughout all of his albums and mixtapes. Well over a decade going strong now. This is a staple in Currency style. And Wiz never does this before Kush and Orange Juice, and he never does it after Kush and Orange Juice. He only does it on Kush and Orange Juice. And I'm open to being proven wrong, but for me, this just further confirms that these are written by Currency. Now, I'm of the controversial opinion, that all the verses on Never Been were written by Currency. And again, for those of you familiar with Currency's rap style, you know what I'm saying isn't far-fetched if you go back and listen to these songs with a different ear. Verse 1 is littered with Currency's descriptive style. Empty bottles of Clico, ashes on the floor, and the rhyme structure and delivery is a page directly out of Currency style. Even the way the rhyme ends is Currency style. Towel under the dough, we wasn't supposed to even smoke. That's all Currency. And Currency has a particular way of structuring his words and rhymes to fit multi-syllabic and internal rhymes. So as mentioned before, Currency is also very descriptive in his raps. So he'll slant rhyme to keep his descriptive and wordy style intact. So you look at the bars where Wiz says, ain't like them guys who wine and dine and keep they women. My bitches only want two things, that's to get high and kick it. Women and kick it are slant rhymes. They don't necessarily rhyme. They're a slant rhyme. You have to say it a certain way. But he does that to keep his words, to keep everything intact, like he wants it to stay descriptive. That's a signature of Curren$y style. The entirety of verse 1 of Never Been is in exactly that type of style. And lastly, the statement. Now, the hook on Never Been, I think that's all Wiz. Again, amazing hooks by Wiz. The statement. Lastly, the statement is littered with Curren$y's lingo and cadence, like the rest of the songs I mentioned. And verse 1 is the descriptive rap style that I mentioned Curren$y is known for. Furthermore, verse 1 of the statement features interpolation of legendary rap lyrics. This is something that Curren$y does often, where Wiz says, as I proceed to smoke these trees. I mean, that's interpolated from Diddy and Biggie's as we proceed to give you what you need from Who Shot You. Again, Curren$y interpolates all the time on his records, and Wiz does it here. Now, more obviously, Wiz name drops Levi 501s. Again, this is a staple in Curren$y's rhymes and his personal style. Wiz also mentions car and engine talk, another staple in Curren$y style. Every time you see Wiz say the planes, or every time Wiz mentions the planes, just replace the word planes with jets, and you'll see that it's very obviously written by Curren$y. Actually, the entire hook on this statement is interpolated directly from one of Curren$y's own songs, titled Life Under the Scope. Stay calm knowing that we belong on top of we ain't trip it. We'll get there in a minute. Yeah, that's a statement for the mission. This is from Curren$y's song, Life Under the Scope. So this just leads more to the idea that Curren$y had a hand in writing this song. So as we come to an end here, over the years, Wiz fans have called for Wiz to return to his Kush and orange juice style. You know, people always say, oh, bring back that Kush and orange juice style. Like, get back on the Kush and orange juice stuff. In my opinion, what they're actually asking for him is for Curren$y to be involved in the production of his records again. Just my opinion. So when you look at Only Built for Cuban Links, that was Raekwon's solo album. But if you look at the album cover, it says Raekwon featuring Ghostface. And Ghostface pretty much appears on half the album, if not more. I think Kush and Orange Juice is the same with Wiz. It's Wiz Khalifa featuring Curren$y. Raekwon featuring Ghostface. Kush and Orange Juice is Wiz featuring Curren$y. I reckon at least 4 songs on Kush and Orange Juice where Curren$y was involved in the writing process. That's Never Been, that's Mezmorized, that's Good Dank, and that's The Statement. Now, non-coincidentally, these are also the songs I just mentioned are the fan favorites. You add in the Kid Frankie too. Kid Frankie, I think that's all Wiz. That's Wiz's style, and that's just a great song. And I say this not to pit these two rappers against each other. Wiz is very successful in his own right. He has his own style. He was Wiz Khalifa before he met Curren$y. Say Yeah, Miss This Plane, you know what I mean? Burn After Rolling. He was Wiz before Curren$y, and he's Wiz after Curren$y. After Curren$y, Wiz excelled into like superstardom. So I'm not saying Wiz needs Curren$y, or I'm not trying to pit these two against each other. This is just more really to shout out Curren$y, because I don't think people realize how great Curren$y's legacy is. When you mention Curren$y's best albums, his best mixtapes, you mentioned Pilot Talk 2, Covert Coup. I think we got to start mentioning Kush and Orange Juice in there, because Curren$y's pen is all over all of our favorite songs on that Kush and Orange Juice mixtape. So shout out to Wiz, shout out to Curren$y. Be sure to subscribe if you have not already. Let me know what you think. Did you go back and listen to some of these songs and think like, hey, let me listen to this, song Mezmorized, but let me try to imagine Curren$y rapping it instead of Wiz. Did you do that? And if you did do that, do you now understand what I'm saying? When I say this is very obviously Curren$y's pen. Or am I wrong? What do you think? Be sure to subscribe if you have not already. This is top5rapwebsite.com. Peace.
I shout out Wiz a lot because me and Wiz had a convo early, and I asked him like, "What you doing to build the torn up?" I see your show popping off in a way that's different, and we had a real convo, and I think that he one of the artists that innovated early. artists like Currency, you know, that really embraced the indie route before it was like the cliche thing to do. Myself included in that, we had to adjust to survive. The 07, 08, 09 era of artists that came in, we had to fix the plane while it was in air.
Yeah.
The engine went bad while we was in the air. Cause we looked at like the artists that came before us and the models they used to succeed. And then as soon as we got in the game, the whole model collapsed.